Okay. This is take 2 of episode 241 of the video game show.
242?
2 something.
Joining us is Phil. Ivan, you still there?
I'm here.
Why did Phil drop? Wow. It's one of those days.
Skype being Skype again.
I think Skype is being Skype again today. I can't get Phil in.
Well, here's hoping that Microsoft will actually turn this program around.
God help them if they can. Jesus. The only thing, it said there was a new version I didn't update, but okay, we're just going to leave it like that and hope Phil shows back up. Maybe the rapture's happening today.
That would suck. And they're doing it through Skype?
Well, it has to start somewhere, doesn't it?
So if you can't connect to Skype, then you've been called?
Okay, well, we'll give Phil... Oh, there he is. Phil?
Is it me or is it you guys?
That time it was you.
Yeah, it was just you.
Huh.
Well, you know what? I think this is a Skype thing. Skype is just not having a good day.
Well, I downloaded and installed the latest Skype, so...
That's probably why.
So now we're all together, all here. 241. Phil, say hi.
Hello.
Ivan, say hi this time.
Hi this time.
Good. Okay. So, episode 241. What are we talking about? What are we bringing to the table? Be strong.
I forget. What did we start talking about at the end of the last recording session that went to hell?
Okay, the whole conversation was about the fact that BlizzCon's coming up, tickets are going on sale.
We were talking about the, hold on. Excuse me. We were talking about the live stream thing. The $40 or whatever it was live stream thing so that you could watch events from the comfort of your home.
Yes, I remember that discussion.
And Ivan, you did that last year?
Last year. It was cool. I mean, there's a lot of filler stuff. There's a lot of coverage of tournament, like World of Warcraft PvP events and StarCraft tournaments, that kind of stuff. There was a lot of filler stuff like that. Anytime they did a panel or anything, they always taped or videoed it, and you could watch it live or you could go back and watch it later. But if you're not into everything that Blizzard does, if you're only into like one aspect of, like, if you're just into StarCraft or Warcraft or Diablo, I don't know that it's really worth it, because any of the information that comes out of BlizzCon is almost immediately regurgitated on your favorite blog site, like Joystick or something like that. But if you're into like every single thing Blizzard does, it might be worth it. I don't know. It was interesting. I watched a few of the World of Warcraft panels and some of the Cataclysm stuff, because Cataclysm had not come out yet when BlizzCon was going on last year. I don't know that I would do it every year, but it might be worth it on years of significant importance. So last week we had also talked that I probably wouldn't do it again unless there was something huge, big coming out. Well, Diablo 3 is supposedly coming out by the end of the year. So this year's BlizzCon is probably going to be heavily Diablo themed with lots of Diablo information. So it might be worth it if you're dying for Diablo information. Although there's a lot of stuff you can talk about with like World of Warcraft, because there's lots of lore and backstory and themes and, you know, there's just all kinds of stuff that you can discuss about World of Warcraft. There's not a whole lot you can really discuss around Diablo, you know? I mean, there's not much of a story. You can talk about mechanics, game mechanics, class abilities, that kind of stuff.
But really, why is that? I mean, the Warcraft universe was only a little bit younger than Diablo.
Well, I don't know that it's age. I think it's genre. Warcraft, you've got Warcraft the strategy game and World of Warcraft the role-playing game, and both of them have a lot of story that they put into the background of the characters, and they've created this whole world, that is Warcraft. In Diablo, I mean, none of the characters have names. The heroes, the champions, the guys that you play, they don't really have names other than like the barbarian or the mage. They don't really have a backstory. There's some story as far as Deckard Cain and Diablo and the whatever it was, the 3 or 4 or 5 demons of hell that you had to fight in the whatever it was, the first game, second game, whatever. But there's not a lot of story because it's not a role-playing game as such. I think they call it an action RPG, which typically means not a lot of story, but lots of action. So when there's not a lot of story, there's not a lot of lore or background, that kind of stuff. So there's not a lot to discuss in those aspects.
So, bottom line here for the BlizzCon streaming coverage, it's worth it only if you're a diehard Blizzard fan.
If you really like Diablo or really like World of Warcraft, aren't diehard but really kind of like it, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. You kind of have to look to see if it's worth the cost. If you're only, on the surface level kind of into any one of those things, this is definitely for fans, for diehard fanatic type people who want all of this information firsthand from the actual event, because like I said, all of it is regurgitated on some gaming website somewhere. So it's not like if you don't go to BlizzCon or you don't get the streaming thing that you're never going to find out what happened. You'll find out one way or another. And if that's all you really care about, just what happened, then you can read about it online. But if you want to see it as it's going on, or instead of reading a summary of one of the panels or something, if you don't want to read just a summary, if you actually wanted to watch the whole thing, that kind of stuff. Or if you're into the free stuff, because you usually get free stuff when you... definitely if you go there, usually if you do the streaming thing, you get some sort of digital content for free.
And are you going to do again this year, Ivan, for BlizzCon?
I am actually going to... Usually somebody somewhere has some inside information, or even maybe Blizzard will post kind of what is going to happen. So last year it was, there's definitely going to be Cataclysm stuff. There's definitely going to be this, and this going on. You don't really get the details, but they at least tell you what exactly is going to be there. I'm going to wait and find out how much information about Diablo 3 is going to be revealed. And if it's a lot, like if they're going to talk about the different zones, the different maps, the different dungeons, the different character classes and talent trees and all that kind of stuff, if they're going to have a ton of information, I'll think about it. But if they come back and say it's too early to talk about all that stuff for Diablo 3, we're going to wait or do whatever, then I definitely won't. I'm kind of slowly... I've definitely reached my peak with World of Warcraft a while ago, and I'm kind of on the downslope, and now I'm kind of like halfway down the downslope, so I'm still not completely disinterested. I haven't canceled my account or anything, but I haven't played seriously in almost a month, a few weeks at least. So and plus Cataclysm's out, so there's not going to be a ton of information about World of Warcraft at BlizzCon, because the only thing coming up is the new patch, which has new raid stuff in it, but it's not going to be completely different. So I'm going to wait and see how much Diablo information is going to be. If they come out and say this is BlizzCon 2011, the BlizzCon of Diablo 3, and we're going to reveal so much information that your head's going to explode, then I'll seriously consider getting it.
Sounds good. Okay, BlizzCon coverage. We got that down.
Indeed.
What else is going on?
Speaking of conventions, it looks like PAX Prime 3-day passes and Saturday passes are all sold out.
Not surprising.
Yep. Typically happens pretty quick now.
It looks like they only have Friday and Sunday single-day passes remaining.
Is anyone planning on going this year? I probably am not.
I am not.
No. I was slightly interested earlier in the year, but a lot of things will be happening with work and whatnot, so travel plans will probably be limited.
PAX is one of those things where I think if you're a gamer, you should try and go at least once, just kind of for the experience. I definitely don't recommend going so that you can get a sneak peek at upcoming games and stuff, because it's an awful experience for that. So when we went that one year, Left 4 Dead was a huge title that was going to be coming out, and they had giant booths and demo stations that you could play Left 4 Dead. It was Left 4 Dead, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I knew it was a zombie game. I thought it was Left 4 Dead. But, like, the lines to actually sit down and play a game of Left 4 Dead were ridiculous. They're almost as bad as, like, an amusement park. Like, hour and a half, 2 hour long lines waiting
Indeed.
so that you could play this game. And the way they had it set up is they kind of wrapped around the booth, and then when you got to one of the stations, you sat down, but it wasn't real in a good position where if you weren't playing, that you could stand back and watch. So really the only way you got to see this thing was by playing it, and the only way you got to do that was to wait in line for 2 hours. So I definitely, like I said, I definitely wouldn't go to a PAX or any one of these other conventions to try and, see what's coming up. Because it's an awful experience for that. It's no good. Now the whole environment is cool. All these gamers all in one place. You can go off in any one of these little corners and sit down and play games with people. The thing across the street, they had the tabletop and card game sections where you could just go over there and play games. That was really cool. But it's one of those things where I don't know if it's worth going every year or every other year or every 3 years, Definitely once, maybe every few years or so. But unless you live very close, like if you live in Seattle, I mean, it's probably a pretty good time, good weekend to go and do something. But when we live almost as far away as you can get in the United States from the actual convention, then it's an expensive trip. Airfare's not cheap, especially if you go, whatever it is, Continental's the only airline that flies straight there. And it's always late for whatever reason. Like the direct flight from Cleveland to Seattle is always at like 2 a.m. And hotels are expensive. Food's kind of expensive. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it gets to the point where unless you plan on meeting up with friends specifically, it's definitely every few years.
Yeah. Well, and that's the main reason we went last time. I know Chad was going to be kind of in the area at that time, so that's kind of why he went. Or maybe I'm thinking 2 times ago, but like Bob only went because we were all going, and he hadn't seen us in a long time. So Bob came out he could give a shit about the games. He just really went just because we were all going to be on that side of the country all at the same time, so it was kind of convenient.
Yeah, the only reason I went last year was because I was in the area.
Yeah.
I was visiting Tom, and it was like it happened to be right the same weekend, so, might as well go.
Yeah.
And I only went to one day at PAX.
I was going to say, too, and if you are going, the weekend pass might be the most cost-efficient, I guess, but it's almost like you go one day, and there's not a lot to do unless there's like a panel or a talk or a speech or something going on one specific day or a couple specific days. There's really no reason to go more than one day because it's not like the convention changes at all. It's the same stuff.
But if you're going to do the board game stuff and everything, then, if you're going to do tabletop gaming and all that stuff, I can understand why you'd want to have a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, all my people I knew I could see outside of PAX.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but the convention floor, the main part of the actual convention, doesn't change at all. They don't do stuff different days, so yeah, there's really. I mean, we kind of had that problem. We got there Friday. We went Friday, or we might have gone Friday. I don't even remember. Saturday was the main day that we went, but then it was like there's nothing else to do. I think we spent most of Sunday or Saturday, the latter part of Saturday, just hanging out and playing games the whole time.
Yep.
So. It's definitely something you should do once. It is a very good time, but I can't see myself going more frequently than every few years.
Okay. PAX coverage down.
E3.
E3 is coming up in 2 short weeks here.
So I haven't been in the loop for a while now. So E3 was a huge industry thing. You needed like a press pass just to get in for the longest time. Now, I knew at one point it was easy to get them. You just kind of ask somebody and you could get one, blah, 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 whatever. It became this whole big thing. Companies were spending literally tens of millions of dollars on booths trying to one-up each other. Everyone got sick of that, so some people stopped going. Other people, would still go, but they lessened their booth experience kind of thing. And it got to a point where E3 kind of died, right? And there wasn't an E3 for a year or two, and then it came back, and anyone could go.
Yep.
Is that kind of what
Sounds
it was?
about right.
Anyone could go. It was more like a PAX thing. You just bought tickets and you could go, but there wasn't all the big companies had kind of stopped going, so it was kind of meh. And now it sounds so. Like I said, I'm kind of giving a history as I understand it. So now we're kind of back to the way it was before, right? Now it's kind of more of a press thing again. And you need press. It's a closed convention that you need a press pass or some sort of industry invitation to get into it. Right? That's where we're back to now.
Yeah, I think they started doing that a couple of years back, where it was very exclusive and very limited to who was getting in.
Yeah. So E3 was the big convention of the year. If you were going to one convention and you could get there, it was E3. And then after things kind of changed, that's kind of where PAX picked up the slack. And PAX kind of was invented because the guys from Penny Arcade decided that it was stupid to only be able to get into a convention to see video games if you were in the industry. So that's kind of why they created PAX. And PAX blew up, and it's huge. And now they had more people going to PAX than people were going to E3. And I don't think the E3 thing really took off when they let anybody in. I don't think it was as popular. So now we're back to industry only.
Yeah, it seemed like if you lived on the West Coast, maybe it was popular, because I don't remember really hearing too much about E3. It's more like a regional thing.
So now we've got two conventions, though. We've got PAX and E3, and they're kind of competing, because they kind of... I guess it really depends on when your product is coming out. If it's coming out... Well, they're kind of around the same time, though, aren't they? E3 is, coming up soon, in the next couple of weeks.
Hang on, Chad. Chad just dropped the call, I think.
I do see him trying to reconnect.
Hello.
Okay, I've had it with computers today. I've really had it. I'm done. I'm at my wit's end.
Okay, so just before you dropped, Ivan was asking when E3 will be happening.
It's June 6th, June 5th, something like that.
Yeah, so within the next couple weeks.
Did I hear you right, Chad? Did you say you're done? You don't want to deal with this anymore?
No. I rebuilt my computer today, and all kinds of new stuff, new motherboard. I take the motherboard, install this, put it in, and run install all the drivers and crap, and it throws on spamware and shit, like Zynga Games and Norton antivirus.
Nice.
I don't want that. So I just redid my PC again. Now I'm doing that, and then now the wireless is dropping on me. I give up. I'm done.
You should give up. Give up and buy a Mac.
No, well, the wireless thing wasn't that. It was just something else happening. But it just coincidentally the same day when all this is going on. Okay, when anybody do anything else for Video Game Show 241? Next week,
go ahead.
I should have a review next week. Hopefully, I got LA Noire. Hopefully, we'll be able to play that because it doesn't crash and require you to install spamware and shit. So,
not typically.
I like it when Chad gets fired up like this. I love it.
Did you get it for the Xbox or the PS3?
PS3.
Excellent.
So has your identity been stolen, as far as you know, Chad?
Not as far as I know, but I've been trying to get online with the PS3 today to see, I'm supposed to get a free game because of that whole thing, but now I can't. The network's down today, unrelated to all this crap I'm going through. So, I'm done. I'm fine. Next week, LA Noire.
I bought my kid Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice.
So that's about all I do with my Xbox anymore is play Lego games. So we'll play that some more, and we can talk about Lego Pirates of the Caribbean as well next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do that. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Oh, any final words for 241?
No final words.